Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of No Space, No Time World. My name is Cyrielle and I'm here on the Conscious Consumer Network every Wednesday evening to take you through a meditation and to give out a healing transmission. Sometimes we'll have a guest, and if we have a guest, it will be one that will be sharing his or her personal experiences of glitches and anomalies in the matrix. And as I have said before, these seem to be more common than you actually think. But not many people feel comfortable sharing them, which is why they seem unusual. Well, that's my theory anyway. So please email at my email address on the screen and share your own personal experiences. And I can read them out on the show if you wish. And also please send in any requests for specific healings that we can do as a group, or share your experiences on what if you've gained or experienced during the meditation, or the healing transmission. Okay, so what I want to share this evening is on Monday this week. I had a colleague over here who wanted a session, and within that session, a totally new and amazing piece of information on how the blueprint can be used came up. Which is one reason why I'm sharing it, because we're doing the healing transmission on the human blueprint. So it was very exciting. And I really love it when the work expands beyond what you think it is. Expands and it grows, no limits. I like that. I'm a person who does not like to be limited, if you know what I mean. Just like to grow, expand, reach out more and more and more, etc. Okay, so what happened? This new piece of information began to emerge about halfway through the session. And in the session, we had already established that the origin of the issue was in linear time, speaking in linear time, from a past incarnation. So this is an energetic kinesiology balance, by the way. So something called projection came up at this point. And what is projection, you may be thinking? Okay, so to start with, within every single energetic kinesiology balance session I do, there are many things I check for. And one is I check to see if the person is surrogating for somebody, whether intentionally or unintentionally, meaning the issue might not even be their issue. It might be somebody else's, and they don't realize that they're surrogating for somebody else. So I check for that. I also check for energy drain to see if this person's energy is being drained by another person. I also check for something called subpersonality, if the person has a subpersonality that needs clearing and integrating so that they're whole again. And another thing I check for is projection. And this can be projection from somebody to the client, or the client projecting to someone. Now all this sounds a bit sinister, but 90% of the time the other person involved does not realize they're doing it. Of course, there are few cases, but they're in the minority, where somebody is maliciously draining energy from that person or maliciously projecting something negative to a person. But I'd probably say about 97% of the time, the other person has no idea that they're doing this. So it's, you know, you don't want to get into a state where, you know, you feel anger towards that person. There's no point. Anyway, so projection came up. If I'm working in person, when projection comes up, I check it, whether the projection is coming from a male or a female. And then, you know, we go through whether it's mother, father, uncle, aunt, sister, brother, all that kind of thing. You know, this isn't if the client is in here in person, and then they can go through names, you know, and we by using an indicator muscle, we find out who the projection or the energy drain, whatever it is, where it's coming from. We find out. But the most important thing to find out is what the connecting emotion is. I know it sounds like I'm going off subject and it's nothing to do with the blueprint, but it is. I just have to explain this before we get to that point. Okay. So if I'm working remotely, it makes no difference to me who the person is projecting or energy drain. It's the emotion that's the most important thing, and where the emotion is held in the blueprint. So what's the emotion got to do with it? The emotion for the energy drain or the projection or the surrogation to work, both people involved, like the client and whoever the other person is, they have to have a similar distortion in their energy field. So this means a very similar emotion or the same emotion that's making a distortion in their energy field. And then the hook is established and the link is made like that. So this is why the emotion is important, because we need to clear the emotion. So through many different energetic kinesiology techniques, we clear that negative, because it's usually a negative emotion. We clear that emotion within the client, and then the person can't hook in anymore. So the energy drain can't work, the projection can't work, the surrogation can't work, because on the client's end, that emotion or whatever it is resolved. So it's not resolved in the other person because you haven't been working on the other person, but the one you're working on is fine. They're no longer having their energy drained or being projected to or surrogating for whoever it is. That's a slightly different thing, the surrogation one, but I won't go into that one right now. Maybe another time. But really, I want to get on to what happened in this session. So we've got to the point now where saying that once the emotion is cleared, there's no way in for the other person. Okay. So as I said, projection came up and I checked for male, female. But in this session, male did not show and female did not show. So I thought, haha, this is interesting what's going on here. But what did show up was self. Yeah. So to cut a very long story short, and to be able to leave out session details, which I can't share, it turned out that what this person experienced in this previous incarnation, he had actually, and in this case, obviously, consciously, sent himself a message. And it's a message for him to pick up in another incarnation with instructions as what to do if this similar situation comes up, and which is really wild. And it was also held in a chromosome, and it was held in one set of coordinates in the blueprint. And I won't tell you exactly what the message was, but when I read the message out, this is basically the answer that he was looking for, which kind of solved the issue. So this was really fascinating. And my colleague described it as like, it's like leaving a message in a bottle. You put the message in there and you send it off for somebody to find, and, or like a time capsule or something. And then, it just suddenly came to me in the session. It means that the blueprint can be used in other ways. There are a couple of other ways in the manuals I've written about the blueprint, but this is kind of a new thing, a new way. Now, this would depend on one's level of consciousness, of course, to do this sort of thing consciously, to have the level of consciousness to know that in a future incarnation, this similar thing would probably be happening, and to leave a message of how to deal with it. That's a very high level of consciousness. And that level of consciousness would really depend on how successful that would actually be. But it also means that you can go searching to find out if there is any information in the blueprint in the context of a certain issue that will give you some more information or hints or even a solution as how to deal with a certain thing. So this is really cool to me anyway. I find that really exciting. So in this kind of context, in this way, it seems like the blueprint can be used as a kind of relay, like a personal kind of storage device, similar to the Akashic records, existing most likely in no space, no time, which can be constantly updated and uploaded with new information multidimensionally across time and space by multiple incarnations and throughout space and time, because everything's happening all at the same time. We're just used to using linear time. And also perhaps it can be used over alternate realities and parallels. So this is really, really cool to me anyway. And it also means that all the work that we do on ourselves helps not just us, but if you're rising in consciousness and the blueprint is being uploaded all the time with the new information and constantly uploaded, upgraded all the time, it's going to affect not just one person, it's going to affect all incarnations across space and time. And as I said, perhaps all realities and parallels, it's going to have a vast effect with just one person working on themselves, which I think is, I don't know why, the only word that's just come to mind at the moment is ace. But I love it. I think it's great. And as I said, I really like it when work expands, and it evolves and it grows beyond all expectation. There's infinite possibilities, and I just love that. And just when you think, you've discovered just about all you can about a new system, then something new comes up and it grows more. It's awesome. So, with that news, let's get into our weekly meditation. Okay? So, relax. Get into a comfortable position and take off your shoes if possible. Sit or lay down, whichever you can do, and whichever feels the most comfortable. Close your eyes, close your mind, get peace. Now focus on the point approximately 2 to 3 fingers width below your navel. Staying at the level of this point, shift your focus right inside your body. Go right inside. Any participating extraterrestrials, please focus on your own center within and go right inside there. You're now all in your core, the core of your physical body, the core of all your bodies, the core of your entire energy field. Breathe deeply, slowly and deeply. Breathe in the pure light of spirit and exhale this pure light into your core. Fill this core space. Fill this space with the pure, loving light of spirit with every out breath. Feel it spread out, revitalizing and rejuvenating your core. Keep breathing. Keep breathing, saturating your core spirit. As this pure loving light spreads, it reveals a door. This is the lower door of your core. Door number 1. Please walk towards this door. And with thanks and gratitude and a smile from your heart center, open the door and step through. You are now in the lower chamber of your core. Breathe deeply. slowly and deeply. Breathe in the pure light of spirit and exhale this pure light into the lower chamber of your core, filling it completely with pure, loving light. Keep breathing. And with every exhalation, feel this pure light spread, revitalizing and rejuvenating your lower chamber, clearing away all stuck energies, clearing away all dense energies, and clearing away all heavy energy. Feel them leave. Feel them clearing and revitalizing your physical form. Keep breathing. And with every out breath, more is cleared, more and more. Notice that you begin to feel brighter, lighter, and more alive as your form is revitalized. Now, this pure, loving light has saturated your lower chamber. Another door is revealed. This is the middle door, door number 2. Please walk towards this door. With thanks and gratitude, and a smile from your heart center. Open door number 2 and step through. You are now in the middle chamber of your core. This is the chamber of the heart. Breathe deeply, slowly and deeply. Keep breathing. And with every out breath, fill this chamber with love. Breathe in the pure, loving light of spirit and exhale this light into the middle chamber of your core, filling it completely with pure love. Keep breathing. With every exhalation, feel this light and love spread. Feel it revitalize your middle chamber, clearing away all stuck energy, clearing away all dense energy, clearing away all heavy energy, and clearing away all energies that are not of love. Clearing away all energies that are not loving energies. Keep breathing. Let all these non-loving energies dissolve so they cannot return. Keep breathing. And with every exhalation, More dense energy is cleared. More heavy energy is cleared. More stuck energy is cleared. And more unloving energy is cleared. Keep breathing and continue until the only energy that can exist in this chamber is that of love. Saturate your heart chamber with love unconditional. And now, as love takes over completely, another door is revealed. And this is the upper door, door number 3. Please walk towards door number 3. And with thanks and gratitude and a big smile from your heart center, open door number 3 and step through. You are now in the upper chamber of your core. This is your core connection to spirit and the spiritual realm and higher dimensions. Breathe deeply. Breathe slowly and deeply. Breathe in the pure, loving, sparkling, bright light of spirit. And exhale this pure light into the upper chamber of your core, filling it completely with pure, loving, bright, sparkling light. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. And with every exhalation, feel this pure light of spirit spread more and more, clearing away all stuck energy, clearing away all dense and heavy energy, and clearing away all blocks to higher dimensions, opening, deepening, strengthening your core connection to spirit and other realms and dimensions. Feel it, breathe it in. Breathe it within and without. Let it spread throughout your physical form, into every cell, into your DNA, your RNA, all your nuclear bases, and into every other part of you, physical, etheric, all systems, all chakras, all nadis, all meridians. Let it spread throughout your field, right out, saturating every part of you. Feel it spread. Feel it transmuting all denseness. Feel it clearing away all stuck. Feel it removing all blocks to all that you are and to all that is. Feel it. Now all of you and all your systems and fields, plus all three chambers of your core, are filled, saturated with this pure, loving, gentle and powerful light of spirit. Pause in this love. Feel the peace. Bathe in it. And now take an even deeper breath. And exhale strongly, expanding this pure loving light of spirit, exploding further and further and further and further, dimension to dimension, across all realities and parallels, across space and time, further and further and further until you experience a sudden stillness. You are at source. You have reached source. Remember how this feels. Feel and remember the love, the purity, the stillness. Bathe in this exquisite, blissful energy and give thanks for all that you are and for all that is. Remain in this state and remember the stillness, the peace, remember the love and the purity. Remember it so that you can return to this state at any time you wish to. And give thanks for this. Now when you're ready, please slowly and gently open your eyes, returning to this reality, but whilst keeping a strong connection to Source. Thank you. Okay. Okay, now as you slowly and gently come back to the space we're in, I will do my sharing about this week's healing transmission, the Blueprint Healing Transmission. So this week, oh hang on, we have a question. Let's see. What is the question? Okay, whenever I follow along with one of these healings, I always get a headache in the days following the healing. Do you have any idea why? Yes, I do. That can often happen after actually a healing session. What you need to do is keep very well hydrated, because it can often mean that as you're going through such changes, um, basically your neural pathways are changing, reopening. Things are really changing. And the best thing to do in this case is to keep hydrated and take plenty of rest. Um, this does often happen. It's integration time, and sometimes it can take a while to do that. But it is quite normal. It often also happens in energetic kinesiology sessions, but it does pass. And the best thing to do is not focus on it and to have the mind of just let it go and keep hydrated, take plenty of rest, and it should pass. And if you have if it doesn't pass or you have any other problems, it should pass, just email me. I'm willing to answer any more questions. So just email me, but I do hope that helps. Sometimes when we do drink plenty of water, we our bodies can actually be in a state where, although we're drinking a lot, we're not actually absorbing it. So if the headache continues too badly, let me know and I can do a hydration balance. For example, when my son was little, he used to drink so much water that he was not absorbing it. And the area that he wasn't absorbing the water was in the brain, in the neural pathways. And once I had done a session on that, he was fine. And he actually didn't need to drink more water. He didn't need to drink as much. He was drinking too much. And I know drinking too much water can give you a headache, but he was in a state where he was just constantly thirsty, drinking the water, but it wasn't being absorbed. Okay. But as I said, it is a common thing after healing sessions. So I hope that helps. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to email. Okay. So back to explaining about our healing transmission this week. Okay. This week we are addressing another blueprint unit, the Earth Element Blueprint Unit, which is in the Chinese 5 elements diagram. This is the Earth unit. Okay. So the Earth unit consists of the spleen meridian, which is yin, and the stomach meridian, which is yang. Now, I do want to share that another way we use Chinese 5 elements in energetic kinesiology is to balance what we call over and under energies. So basically, how we do that is by moving qi. basically, when there is over energy in an area of the body, that usually means you're going to have pain. And also under energy, as you have an over energy in one area, you're going to have an under energy in another area. If you think of this system as pipes and cylinder tanks with connections leading out to other acupoints. If a cylinder, just think of a cylinder with liquid. This is the cylinder. If the liquid is too high, there's too much liquid, and it's just trickling out in little bits to other connections. And in some cases, when an acupoint is blocked, it won't move at all. That's over energy. There's just too much there. Okay, so the system needs to be in balance. And because there's too much in like this one place, somewhere else in the system, there's going to be like a metaphoric cylinder with hardly any energy in it, just a little tiny bit of liquid. So two systems are going to be suffering. One is not going to be working properly because there's too much energy there. The other's not going to be working properly because there's not enough energy going through it. So we have to balance that out so that both of these areas have enough energy. Not too much, not too little. So how we do that is by using energetic kinesiology methods. We identify, I won't go into how we do it because that'll take a long time, but we identify an area of over energy, and then, very important, to find where is the under energy, which part of the system doesn't have enough. Because this one part is taking too much. It's taking energy from this other area. So when we find those areas, we then find what route do we need to use between, just say, for instance, too much energy in large intestine. And here, not enough energy in gallbladder. So we have to find which route we need to take, which is best for the person, for the body, to balance out this over and under energies so that they're level again. You can't work backwards, you have to go with the flow of the system. Now sometimes if people are extremely ill, really they have a lot of blocked acupoints. It gets to a state where, well, say if it is a blocked acupoint, the system has to find another way to get to where it wants to. So it can't go that way, it has to find another way. And if you have too many blocked points, the system starts to flow in reverse, and then you're in real trouble. But we also work with that because we unblock the acupoints and get the flow moving again, right, in the correct direction. And it's usually emotions and deep survival switching that are blocking an acupoint. And once you correct that, then the flow will move again. Now, how we actually move the energy is with something called a Tai Shin, which is needle-less acupuncture. And you stimulate all the points along the route that you need to, that is going to move the chi, and so things are flowing how they should do. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that, part of the work I do. And as it's connected to the blueprint, I thought you might find that interesting. So, back to our healing transmission. Again, I've adapted the quality states and emotions related to the spleen and stomach meridians this week to release the negative patterning we need to release for the energies of the stomach and the spleen meridians. And then we're going to infuse the positive qualities of those meridians in our blueprint healing transmission this evening. And once again, I will acknowledge that the emotion states and beliefs that we are releasing this evening associated with these two meridians are adapted from the Melbourne Applied Physiology Kinesiology Working with Emotions workshop, and came from a Touch for Health Emotions list from a woman called Margaret Murray. And this was a presentation in USA in 1989 at a Touch for Health conference. So, to remind you, all of you who have previously participated in our healing transmission, and the new viewers, I will explain to you that during the transmission there will be quite a few silent moments. And in these moments I'm pausing for things to shift. In the case of activations, things to infuse and integrate. And you will all be making your shifts at different speeds because we are all different. Some of us shift slowly, some of us shift quickly. Some of us shift slowly in the context of one emotion or meridian, and may shift slowly in the context of a different one. It's not always going to be the same. It could be different every time. Just go with whatever comes up. There's no right or wrong how it happens. There's no right or wrong about how slow or fast you shift. And it doesn't make any transmission better than any other transmission. It doesn't make any one person better than another person. It makes no difference at all. We all have different issues. There may be statements that you don't resonate with, and that's fine as well. There may be statements that you resonate very deeply with, and that's fine as well. Don't feel you need to rush. It'll happen when it happens. The shifts may come at different times. They may come immediately. They may come minutes after. They may come days after. It's all fine. Just trust. Don't worry, just trust. And on my end, my team always tells me when it's time to move on to the next statement. It usually works out that I move on to the next statement at the right time anyway, but sometimes I get told, hold on, wait. So, all you need to do is relax, receive, trust in spirit, and all will come to you at the right time. And another thing, if you zone out, like many people do, or fall asleep, it's still going to work. Sometimes we fall asleep because it goes so deeply that the person just has to sleep. You know, it's just too much. There are some people who they get straight onto the couch for a healing session and they're just gone. It will still work whether you're awake or whether you're asleep, so don't worry about that either. So just be at peace and enjoy and trust. Okay, so please, all of you, get back into your comfortable position. Please take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Healing Transmission Team, please open and prepare a multidimensional space for a blueprint healing transmission. Thank you. All teams, please clear and remove any dense energies from my space and from the space of each being receiving this healing transmission. Teams, please place the being you are working with in a protective sphere to shield this being from all outside interference. Thank you. Stabilize. Thank you. We command an immediate shift to no space, no time. Now. I address all the guides, masters, and teams of each being receiving this healing transmission to please come online now. Please be on standby, ready to assist and support the being you are working with. Masters and specialists for both human and extraterrestrial blueprints, online now. Thank you. Are all teams ready to begin? Thank you. All teams, please access the blueprint of the being you are working with. All teams working with all participating extraterrestrials, please adapt all commands regarding both the release of negative patterning and the infusion and activation of positive qualities as required to the equivalent required statement relevant to the species of being you are working with, and please adapt any other commands not mentioned that need to be adapted for the species of being you are working with. Thank you. All teams working with humans, please access and connect to the Earth Element Blueprint now. All teams working with extraterrestrials, please access and connect to the species-related blueprint, the species-related equivalent blueprint. Thank you. Now. on all levels and layers multidimensionally, ancestrally, and for all incarnations across space and time, and for the highest and best good of all, we command the release from the earth element blueprint unit or species-related equivalent, and from all associated cells, physical and etheric. We also request the optimal clearing that can be made at this time for each receiving being regarding all of the following statements. We command the release of all negative patterning, causing me worry and anxiety. The release of all negative patterning causing me to feel that if I don't worry, I'll die. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from relaxing and doing my best. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having a strong, healthy spleen. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having a strong, healthy pancreas. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having perfect hormone regulation. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being able to destroy all infective and malignant material in my body. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from efficiently removing damaged blood cells. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from abundantly producing effective enzymes. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having perfect sugar balance. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from eating foods in their natural state. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from choosing foods and supplements that support the healthy function of the spleen, pancreas. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from thinking before I act. The release of all negative patterning, from preventing me from being free to explore. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being free to make mistakes. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being free to mature. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being safe and secure. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being confident. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having conviction and assurance in life. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being powerful. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having faith. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from relying on spirit. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being materially secure. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having the necessities of life. the release of all negative patterning, preventing me from trusting others to take care of themselves. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having confidence in others. The release of all negative patterning, causing me anger and discontentment. The release of all negative patterning, causing me greed. The release of all negative patterning, causing me disgust. The release of all negative patterning, causing me disappointment. The release of all negative patterning, causing me frustration. The release of all negative patterning, causing me to feel that my needs are never satisfied. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having a strong, healthy stomach. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having excellent digestion. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from eating only nutritious food. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from eating only what I need to eat for energy and for growth. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from producing sufficient amounts of stomach enzymes. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from choosing foods and supplements that support the healthy function of my stomach. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from learning easily. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from applying my learning wisely. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being open and creative. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from remembering what I need to know. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from listening well. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being enthusiastic. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having fulfilling relationship goals. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from appreciating others. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being satisfied with what is appropriate. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being fulfilled. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being willing. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from cooperating when appropriate. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being at peace. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from feeling content and blessed. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from having sufficient money to meet my needs. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being moderate. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from being discreet. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from feeling noticed, appreciated and loved. Team will like me to repeat this statement. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from feeling loved, appreciated and noticed. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from feeling loved, appreciated and noticed. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from recognizing how I fit in. The release of all negative patterning, preventing me from fitting in beneficially. We give great thanks for the graceful release of all this negative patterning from the Earth Element Blueprint unit or species-related equivalent and all associated cells, physical and etheric. Thank you. And now, on all levels and layers multidimensionally, ancestrally throughout space and time, and for the highest will and good of all, we command the infusion and activation of all following positive qualities into the Earth Element Blueprint unit or species-related equivalent and into all associated cells, physical and etheric. We command the infusion and activation of assurance and confidence. the infusion and activation of I relax and do my best. The infusion and activation of a strong, healthy spleen. The infusion and activation of a strong, healthy pancreas. The infusion and activation of perfect hormone regulation. The infusion and activation of being able to destroy infective and malignant material from my body. The infusion and activation of the efficient removal of damaged blood cells. The infusion and activation of the abundant production of efficient enzymes. The infusion and activation of perfect sugar balance. The infusion and activation of eating foods in their natural state. The infusion and activation of choosing foods and supplements that support the healthy function of my spleen, pancreas. The infusion and activation of thinking before I act. The infusion and activation of being free to explore. The infusion and activation of being free to make mistakes. The infusion and activation of being free to mature. The infusion and activation of feeling safe and secure. The infusion and activation of feeling confident the infusion and activation of having conviction and assurance in life. The infusion and activation of being powerful. The infusion and activation of having faith. The infusion and activation of relying on spirit. The infusion and activation of being materially secure. The infusion and activation of having all the necessities of life the infusion and activation of trusting others to take care of themselves. The infusion and activation of stimulating others to have confidence in you. The infusion and activation of contentment and calmness. The infusion and activation of all my needs are satisfied. The infusion and activation of easy learning. The infusion and activation of the wise application of my learning. The infusion and activation of being open and creative. The infusion and activation of always remembering what I need to know. The infusion and activation of listening well. The infusion and activation of being enthusiastic. The infusion and activation of having fulfilling relationship goals. The infusion and activation of the appreciation of others The infusion and activation of being satisfied with what is appropriate. The infusion and activation of being fulfilled. The infusion and activation of being willing. The infusion and activation of cooperating when appropriate. The infusion and activation of being at peace. The infusion and activation of feeling content and blessed. The infusion and activation of being moderate. The infusion and activation of being discreet. The infusion and activation of having sufficient money to meet my needs. The infusion and activation of feeling noticed, appreciated, and loved. The infusion and activation of recognizing how I fit in. The infusion and activation of recognizing how I fit in. The infusion and activation of fitting in beneficially. We give great thanks for the graceful infusion, activation, and integration of all these positive qualities into the Earth Element Blueprint Unit or species-related equivalent, and into all associated cells, physical and etheric. We give great thanks to all the teams who assisted in this process, and we command the daily reinforcement with love, grace, and ease of all positive qualities infused and activated into the Earth Element Blueprint Unit or species-related equivalent, and into all associated cells, physical and etheric, for this healing transmission. Teams, please repeat the infusion and activation process once a day for the next 2 days to allow for full, graceful, loving and easy integration to take place. Thank you. We now command our return to the earth plane, fully present and intact on all levels. We give great thanks for this gift of love. Okay, everyone slowly open your eyes. Come back gently to the space we're in. Teams, please run grounding frequencies on all who participated in the meditation and blueprint healing transmission now. Thank you. Okay, everyone, have a good stretch. That felt very powerful. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you all integrate that gracefully and easily without headaches. Okay. So we're going to wind things up. And next week we are going to do the water unit, which is lung and large intestine. We're going with the flow. Okay, everyone, thank you all for participating. And I wish you a wonderful good night. And over here it's cat feeding time. Bye.
Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is Mel V, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lady Liberty.
And this is Mira Siegel.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination.
You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level.
Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.